Well, SJ, thank you so much for being here with me on the Entrepreneurial Success Podcast. I have to say, before we started hitting the record button here, you and I already had so many laughs. I can feel my cheeks just getting flushed and already so painful from all the laughing you and I did before we hit the record button. But I want to share this amazing conversation with the audience as well. So before we get started, why don't I hand over to you so you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. So my name is Super Julie Braun, but all of my friends call me SJ, which is why Hen is already referring to me as SJ. I own a company. I'm the founder of Super Purposes. And what we do is we help people get the career and salary that they deserve. We do it in a very short amount of time. And we have online courses, we have coaching, we have workshops. We do a lot of ways to help people kind of reignite the passion that they want to have in their careers. And yeah, that's what we do.
And I love that. But I think one of the other things is that I'm very intrigued in is a little bit about your story. How did you get started and how did you basically create this business? How did it evolve over the years? And where are you based right now with everything?
Yeah, so my former life, I worked in corporate America. I worked for a lot of big box brands like MTV, Nike, Carter's Children's Wear, which is the largest children's apparel company in the world. And my last job, I was kind of like, the shine was off my apple. I wasn't so much in love with, the corporate life, even though I enjoyed all of the fruitfulness of that, the responsibility and the money. I had kind of gotten to a place of not so much in love anymore. And so I decided that I was going to start a marketing company. And that was like the first thing that I did. And it was a complete disaster. I think I was maybe 6 weeks out of the corporate office. I was laying in bed and 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm staring at the ceiling and I said, oh my God, I'm going to fail. And that was a very scary feeling for me because I'd always been surrounded by other creative people who could help me build something. I always had the protection of a company and the salary, and here it was all on me. So, long story short, I knew that I needed help. So I started an intern program, and internships in America are very valued, particularly by people in college, because they want to get some experience and skill before they get a job. And so I started my next company called superinterns.com, where we helped companies get interns, and we worked with Fortune 500 companies build their internship programs. And from that, I kept saying to myself, people are getting internships because they want experience and skill, but really the end goal is to get the job of their dreams. And it was a very hard model. Superinterns.com was tough. And so I thought, we need to pivot. We need to pivot to career. And about the same time that I had that thought, I got sober. I am 8 years and some change. So in my sobriety,
Congratulations.
Thank you. I belong to the AA club is what I call it. And with a very sober mind, I started to realize that all of the things that I had thought were important to me were not at all. I used to think that things were important. And I woke up and I was like, oh, I don't care about things. I care about people. So my focus then shifted, and we pivoted our company. We still have superinterns.com, but we are very focused on Super Purposes, where we're building business, where we are helping people, find the passion in what they want to do. And in this kind of transformation that I went through, I sold everything that I had, or I gave it away. I don't have a car. I don't live in my own home. I take care of other people's homes. All of my belongings fit in one suitcase.
Oh my goodness.
And I only own one pair of shoes.
Now, a lot of people would listen to this and going, is she for real? Is this crazy?
I know. It is crazy. It is. But I love the freedom that I have. And when I allowed myself to let go of all of the material trappings that I had previously, I felt not only a freedom, but a liberation. Mm. And when you feel liberated, you want to liberate others. Mm.
Very true.
And so now we're starting to move into the employee revolution during this time period of COVID. I don't know about the UK, but in the US, people are quitting their jobs right and left.
Oh, yes. Very same thing, because they've experienced a different type of life during COVID. Yes, it's sad on some occasions, but I think on a lot of other occasions, people are seeing what a different life they've had this past year. So I've seen exactly the same thing happening in the UK, what you just mentioned. Yes.
It's really amazing. Here we're calling it the Great Resignation, but at Super Purposes, we call it the employee revolution.
Yes.
Because for the first time in like 100 years, the power is back with the employee. Mm. And because of that, because people have gotten into their homes, they've been able to see their children more often, probably more often than they really wanted to, and their partners, and they're reconnected with their family members. Maybe they're able to take care of an elderly parent or grandparent. Perhaps they got to connect with their cat or dog during the day. And because of this shift and understanding that also people are more important than things, mm-hmm. that they're looking for more meaning in the work they're doing.
Yeah.
And so we're experiencing that right now. We're experiencing kind of this incredible flow and shift. And while COVID has been horrible, it's been absolutely devastating to so many people, there has been a bit of a silver lining.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I love your story. I love how you're sharing it, because I think a lot of people, going through life in particular, as an example, like we've just said, who's gone through COVID, who's decided that they want to make a drastic change in their lives for the better, whether that is quitting their job and finding something that they're very much passionate about. There are so many opportunities actually out there if you really just put your mind to it. And I think what people has been holding on to is like, on another aspect, is like, I don't want to lose my job, because they hold on to it so dearly because they feel this is life and death. If I can't get another job, I've got to hold on to this job, I've got to protect it. And yes, that's okay. But if you're not passionate about it, it's not going to fulfill you in any way. Most people just hang on to a job because of their financial security, which I think is very sad in some senses. And I mean, I came from a corporate background and I loved my job. It was the hardest thing for me in order to hand in my resignation and say, I'm starting my own business. And I was thinking, I must be crazy, because I loved my job, but it was something that I was really passionate about. So I can only understand and see from people's perspective that if you were to change something, find what you're passionate about. And this is what you're doing. You're helping people to understand and find their passions so that they can really go into the right direction. So this leads nicely into what we want to talk about today, because you want to talk to us about how to create an online course. And I want to be very clear here. Creating an online course is not just something for entrepreneurs, for business owners. You can easily find what it is that you're passionate about and then create a little side hustle if you need to make extra bit of money, or just do it out of a hobby, so to speak, and create an online course as a hobby. But there's so many things that you can do when it comes to creating an online course. The thing is, you just got to find out what you're really passionate about and not just do anything. You've got to go and find something that is aligned with you to do it. So my question to you is, SJ, is how do you start an online course? So what is the first thing that people need to think about when they want to create an online course, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. Well, the first step, and you mentioned something that kind of, made me say, oh my goodness, that's fantastic. That's the side hustle. Because I think having the one job or the one career, like that was for our parents. I can tell I'm much older than you are, Ken. I'm more mature. Okay. I have more wisdom. That's what we're going to say. We're going to call it.
You've got more wisdom. I couldn't agree more with that.
But our parents would stay with the job forever.
Yeah.
And we're transitioning into maybe having now 5 careers. The future will have 10, 20, 30, 50 careers. So creating an online course can be for anybody who wants to teach people something that you love, you're passionate about, and you are an expert in. You're really, and you might say, well, I'm not an expert, but I'm really good. Well, really good is better than what most people are.
Yeah.
So where we start is with an outline. And I always recommend put on your timer. So pull out your phone, put on the timer, 10 minutes. And with a pen and a piece of paper, I'm a very pen and piece of paper kind of person.
Yes.
I journal, write down what is the structure of your course. So I always start with the beginning. So what do I need to do at the very beginning of my online course? When I think of creating a career, I know that there are 12 specific steps. It's funny that I'm in AA and I also have a 12-step online course for career. I think that's, whenever I say that, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that's a little link there. But I know there's 12 steps in a career. And so I always start with step number 1. Oh my gosh, I don't know where I'm starting. I don't even know where to start looking for a job. I don't even know where to begin. That's step 1. I just write down, boom, boom, boom. And I start writing down the ideas on a piece of paper. And in 10 minutes, I stop. In 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, that's my outline. Done. And then I move on to the next thing. I think what people get stuck in is perfectionism.
Yes.
And so they can spend a year on an outline, and that's not what you want to do, because perfectionism leads to paralysis, which leads to lack of progress.
Yeah. Also, the other thing with the outline is what I find a lot of people do is when we talk about creating an outline, oh my gosh, they would come up with pages and pages. You would say like 12 steps. I've had people who come up with 20, 30, 40 steps as an example. And it's like, that's way too much. And like, no, but I want to give so much value. I can put so much in. It's like, that's way too much. So on the other aspect, I also would just like to mention, maybe tell me your experience from this, is don't give everything, because people can't consume so much information in one go. You need to be very careful with how much information you give, and then stop it there. And then the rest of the information could be a second course or something like that. But yeah, don't cram too much into it.
Don't do it. I could not agree more. I like to say that if you are doing a course, career is pretty big. So when I think about it, the first week, we basically break it down to 12 weeks, like yes. 12 weeks, and you're going to have your new job. But in week 1, it's just getting started. And I always tell my team, I put everything down to a recipe. I know you love recipes too, Hen. But I always say, you know what? We have a 12-course meal that we're going to be giving to people. So the first part of that meal is going to be an amuse-bouche. It's going to be very delicious. It's going to get people excited. They're going to be anticipating, oh my gosh, all the other stuff that's coming. And every week we give it to them in very digestible bites.
Yes.
Because if you try to cram everything on your outline, then that means you're going to try to cram everything into your course, which means it's going to be totally overwrought. Great points on all fronts. And right now I'm keeping score, and you have 1,000 and I just have one so far.
Well, I've gone through the motions of creating a course the wrong way. My first course, oh my gosh, all the boxes of everything you could have done wrong, I've ticked all of them. Okay.
Wow.
But I learned from it. So, I can only talk from experience when I talk about creating an online course, what to do and what not to do. Mm-hmm. But I guess everybody's got to learn from it and take advice from you and me as an example, and from so many other experts who've done it as well, because there's a right way of doing it, but there's also a wrong way. The wrong way is going to take a little bit longer, but the right way at least is going to give you some tips on how to avoid some of those obstacles. So let's talk then about when you have the outline, the creating of the content. This is where we dive in deep. And this is where people get hung up as well, because now they go like, damn, now I've got to do all of the content. This is going to take me years to complete.
Oh my gosh. So when I was at superinterns.com, I had a co-founder at the beginning of the company formation. And my co-founder, Michelle, and we created our first online course, and we did it in 3 months. It was the very first time we ever did it. It was a 350 or 370 page information product. It had CDs. It was back in the day where we would send CDs, and there were also digital recordings and written materials. And we thought creating the online course in 3 months was really good. We were quite proud of that. We took a summer, but now that I've been through it, and I know, and we've done it, many, many times since at Super Purposes, the way to really do it super fast and easy is do it with someone else. This is my advice. So
that's a great point.
I never create an online course by myself. I always have a buddy. I always have a partner. And very often we will get on, we use Skype, but you could use Zoom, and we record the call. So step number 1, have your outline in front of you. Step number 2, plan an hour with your buddy. Step number 3, talk. Record the call. And then we just do a transcribe of what we've said, and that becomes the content. We edit it out. Sometimes we'll say things and we'll say, has it ever happened when you've interviewed and blah, 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 blah. Okay, the interview, that needs to go to week 4 or week 8, whatever week we want to direct it to. That's going to go to that week. But getting back, because you will go to places that you won't go when you work by yourself.
Yes.
And you just need to be with someone who's a little dangerous. So you don't need to be with another expert. Sometimes it can be a friend who has interest in what you're doing. Sometimes it can be the friend or coworker or colleague who always asks lots of questions. Well, why did you do that? Well, how did that happen? Well, what happened next? If you're with that person, they will pull out content from you, and they will ask you questions that are obvious to you, but are not obvious to them, which means it probably needs to go into your course. So that's how we do that quickly.
Oh, that is a brilliant format. I've never come across it, because I've always just had, the people are saying, when you create a course, just sit there and just record yourself talking. I'm like, yeah, this is so hard. It's hard to talk to yourself because there's no two-way street. It's just one way, and you're not getting that feedback. So yeah, I love that idea of getting a buddy just to have a conversation, just like you and I are doing now here. Yeah. I mean, this is
you
great.
And I could create an hour core. We could create an hour right now.
Yeah.
Between the two of us.
Exactly. So for everybody listening, just think about this. If you have, an outline, as an example, of 6 steps for whatever that it is, and if you decide that, hey, as an example, I'm just going to get somebody to help me with this and just have a conversation recorded. Or if you really want to be savvy, look at every one of those steps and think, for step 1, maybe I can have a conversation with my best friend. For step 2, maybe I could have a conversation with a colleague of mine. For step 3, and you'll be so surprised. You have different intakes of information. Sorry, my mind is just going crazy right now because I'm just thinking of myself, what I can do with this.
It is.
It's brilliant.
It is. It is. And I have created courses so let me give you an example. We're creating online courses to very specific groups of people. So for example, we have an online course for transgender and gender nonconforming folks.
Mm-hmm.
They actually have a big problem here in the US. Discrimination is one of the problems. Going to a place and feeling like they're not going to fit in. So we've created an online course specific to them and their challenges. And what I did is I have a friend who is a transgender male, transgender man. His name is Mac McGregor. You can look him up on Google. He's quite famous. He is a transgender icon. And in Seattle, Washington, he's kind of famous. Whenever we walk down the street, people are always like, Mac. And I'm like, oh, I'm with someone really popular. But we got together and I said, I want to create a course for trans people. And let's, loop in some gender nonconforming folks too, because they have the same kind of challenge, and let's bundle them together. And so what he brought to the conversation was all of the things that I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to go into a job with an ID that says I'm a different person and trying to get the job as the person who I'm presenting today.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's all those things that I was like, oh my gosh, I never even thought of that. Or, oh my goodness, I didn't know that happened. And so sometimes you can really level up whatever it is you're creating by going to a specific niche and finding somebody in that niche that is an expert on their side of things, but you bring your piece.
Yeah.
And when you combo that together, you can become a dynamic duo.
Yeah.
We can churn out content super fast that way. So I hope that was helpful.
Oh, yes. I mean, I just had a light bulb moment as you said it and was like, how come I never thought of it? But again, this is why we have this conversation, because, I still learn every single day as well. So if I can learn something, everybody else can learn from you. Now, here's the other thing, because when you have the content, this is where a lot of people get excited, but then they keep on thinking and thinking and thinking, and nothing turns into action. Do you have a couple of tips as to how to stop the thinking and just get into action? Because this is also where procrastination plays a big role and is one of the biggest enemies when it comes to course creations.
It is. And I understand procrastination because I'm an expert. I can find certain things that I just will put off and put off and put off. And part of that is, I think, self-care. So I give myself a lot of grace. If I don't want to do something one day, I'm like, I'm still thinking on that. I'm still trying to figure out something. When it comes to online courses, though, for some reason, there's zero procrastination with me. I get very excited. Here's something that I would recommend people do. Like anything that matters to us, we put it on our calendar. So if we have a doctor's appointment, we put that on our calendar. If we have to pick up our child after school, we put that on our calendar. We make the space and the time. That is the first step to that recipe. You have to make the space and the time. So when I know that I'm going to create an online course, I get it on my calendar and I get my partner to get the time on their calendar. And that was step number 2 of getting into action. Find the person that you're going to create the course with. If it's even the first step, you're with, like you said maybe your best friend for step 1, and step 2 is going to be a colleague, however you want to do it. But I load up my calendar. And having that person I use very much as an accountability partner.
Yeah.
They don't know it, but I'm really good at showing up for other people, so much better than I am for showing up for myself. Yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
So
Yes.
again, I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this. So why is that? Can we just for a moment step back? Because I need a little self-help right now. Why is it that we're better about showing up for others than we are for ourselves sometimes? Why do you think that happens?
Well, I think it's because it's harder to disappoint other people than it is to disappoint yourself.
You are a master.
It makes sense, because if you're not showing up, you're disappointing somebody else. But if you don't show up for yourself, it's one of those things you could just sweep under the rug and go like, it's fine, I'll do it next time. It's just me. But it's a lot harder to not show up. When you said you're going to show up and you don't show up, you basically disappoint somebody. And basically you're going to lose their trust as well.
Yeah. There seems to be so much of a predominant integrity factor when somebody else is involved, but the integrity really of keeping a promise to yourself, man, I have so much admiration for people that just have that wherewithal and that stoic kind of, I said I'm going to do something and now I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I feel like I just went to an AA meeting. Thank you so much, Hen. You got me through the morning.
Oh, I'm so happy. No, but I think this is great because as you were saying it, I just have a quick example here, not about creating a course, but I have a quick example. I have a dear friend who's a mindset coach. And last year in particular, we decided, let's do a little project between the two of us. We're going to do Facebook Lives every single day. Now, if you asked me to do that on my own, I might have showed up for the first 2-3 days, and then I would have just quietly died out and you wouldn't have heard of me. Because we sat down, we looked at our calendars and decided every single day, this is the time we're going to do it. This is the topics we're going to talk about. We started showing up to a point where we had people contacting us going, you are so visible. Every time I look at Facebook, you're everywhere. And we were like, this is great. But then when we really looked at it, it's like, because we're keeping each other accountable. If we sit there and we'll have our Zoom ready to connect to Facebook, I'm going, she's 1 minute late. We're going live in 1 minute. I'm like, where are you? We've got 1 minute to go before we go live, because we're staying accountable the whole time. And we had content coming out of our ears because we sat down and we worked on everything. But again, if you were to ask me to do that on my own, I would have never done it. It's nothing to do with online courses, but it's the same principle. If you set a schedule and a time with somebody else and say, this is the time we're going to do this, they are going to show up and you are going to show up. Oh my gosh.
100%.
You've got a recipe for success right there.
Yeah.
Talking about recipes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a no fail.
Yeah.
It's honestly, you can make such a huge success with this.
I think the sooner that you speak what it is that you want to do and you put it out, the sooner you have to act upon it.
Yeah.
When people keep their ideas in their heads, or maybe they just tell their partner, oh, I think I'm going to do an XYZ course and it's just between the two of you, it can take forever for you to get started. But if you speak it out and say, okay, everybody, I'm going to do this. I'm looking for this person. That also will get you into action.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's another piece. And then you brought up one other thing for me, and that was, I'm not good at exercising. I'm just going to say it. I don't love doing it. I always have to find a buddy or hire a personal trainer. Again, that accountability piece is so core to success. If I want success in exercising, if I want success in taking a walk every night, then I've got to get a neighborhood friend and say, okay, I'll see you out the door at 8:00. And so I think that is, again, that thinking of you need sometimes other people to get you into the action mode.
Yeah, you do. You do. So, you know, I think that just leads beautifully to what we're trying to say here for everybody listening or watching this video is if you want to create an online course, get somebody who can do it with you. Get somebody who you can talk things through and, oh my gosh, brainstorm ideas with. It is not about, and this is something that I learned dearly in business, is you can never run a business on your own. Never, ever, ever. You can never do anything in life on your own. You will always need a friend. You will always need a partner. You will always need a colleague in order to help you, because you on your own can only go thus far. You will always need somebody else there to take you one step further and to push you a little bit out of your comfort zone every now and then as well. So if you want to create an online course, you know, we said it in the beginning, whether it's a little side hustle, whether it is something you want to go full on with, you know, start a business, create it, find out what you're passionate with, find out what is that one thing that you really enjoy doing, that you can share your knowledge, your experience with other people. Doesn't mean that you have to go and get a doctorate's degree or something, or a PhD, or you need to have all of this university, you know, how can I say, certificates or diplomas in order to say, you know, I can create an online course. You don't have to. As long as you're passionate about what it is that you enjoy doing and you've got experience in it, and you can share that information with other people, you can easily create a side hustle or even go into a business in order to share that information with other people. So yes, rounding it up all the way to what we said, if you have discovered, especially during times like this, you want to find out what is more valuable in life, i.e. finding another job that you're more passionate about, maybe create a little bit of a side hustle, then go do it. Do it in the form of an online course, just by creating an outline in 10 minutes, which SJ said here, get a buddy, talk things through, transcribe it. It's the easiest thing in the world. And then, you know, to take that action and just don't think about it, just take the action. I've got another example about that. Do you mind if I throw this in here as well? Because it just came up to it.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
I had an idea last year, Christmas time, 2 days before Christmas. I had this idea of doing a giveaway, but I wanted to do something really spectacular. The idea was, what if I get a bunch of female entrepreneurs from all over the world together, where we give our lead magnets away to all of our audiences. And what then happens is, in this giveaway, all the audiences can basically get a whole bunch of free content. Instead of searching the web for all of the things, they get it all there on one platform. And all of the collaborators, the female entrepreneurs who gave me the lead magnets, they get people signing up to their email list. And I just had this idea and I thought this would be great. And I thought, oh gosh, don't know how it's going to work, don't know how it's going to be put together. And I just spoke to a friend of mine and I said, you know what, I had this idea, and I explained it to her. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm in. Can I be one of your collaborators? I was like, oh, okay. Damn, it means now I've got to do this. But that was it. That was all I needed, just to share it with somebody. And she's like, I'm in. I want to do this with you. And I was like, damn, now I've got to see this through, because I am now committed. I said I'm going to do this and she's part of it. So I don't want to disappoint her. And then it took me 2 months. This was 2 days before Christmas. Throughout Christmas, New Year, January, February, I launched the giveaway. I had 47 female entrepreneurs from all over the world joining the giveaway. We had just about over 1,000 people coming to the giveaway in 5 days. And it was one of the biggest successes I've ever experienced. And I launched it 3 times last year, the giveaway, 3 times over the course of the year. And every time it was a better and better, bigger success. But I just thought, as you were saying that, if it wasn't for me just mentioning the idea to somebody, I would never have done that. I didn't have all the ins and outs. I didn't have an idea of how to do it. It came together. Heavens know how, but it came together. But because I mentioned it to somebody and she said, yes, I'm in, I was like, damn, I'm committed now. I have to see this through. I had to put a deadline down and say, this is when we're going to launch the giveaway, and just work backwards from that. And it was one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had to go through, just to say, you know what, when you have an idea, just talk to somebody about it and you'll be so surprised how that commitment comes through. And you've got to take the action without a doubt.
That was an extraordinary share. What a gift you just gave your audience. because I think people are always thinking that it's all planned out and it's all perfection. And things happen when you collaborate, you have conversations. And again, getting it out means that you were kind of in your integrity. You had somebody that said, oh yeah, I want to do that with you. And then you're like, oh my goodness. Okay, let's get it on the calendar. And you moved the idea, you spoke it, and you went into action.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Yeah. And this is just the
Amazing
message that I wanted to get through, because when you said it, it just came together and I realized, but that is exactly what I did with the giveaway. And to me, that is proof that, oh my gosh, when you get an idea, do it. Yeah. Absolutely do it. You have no idea what the success it could be, or even what other doors that could open up for you.
You just reminded me of a story.
Oh, please share. Come on, we're on a roll now.
Okay. So about a year ago, I was saying to myself, this COVID situation, the pandemic is really, really tough. We have got to help people, and we've got to show other people how we're helping people. So I said in a meeting, we should do a documentary on finding some unemployed folks and do a documentary on them. And everybody said, well, how would we do that? And I said, we do it on Skype. We would record our calls. We would give all of them a camera and have them shoot some B-roll, to fill in the documentary holes that we might have. And we should take them through our online course. And I said this last year, I want to say in December. And in January, we started casting for a docuseries. We filmed the docuseries in the spring of this year. We finished filming, and now we are putting together the episodes. We're up to episode 6. I think we're launching episode 6 either this week or next week. But we followed 5 unemployed or underemployed people. We gave them our online course. We have them coached by me. We have them in group coaching sessions. We have them in individual sessions, and we follow their journey. They're all walks of life. We have a veteran, military veteran, Marine Corps, and he got out of the Marine Corps, could not get a job, went back to school, got his doctorate, still couldn't get a job. 10 years later.
My goodness.
Doesn't have a job. So we're helping him. Another gentleman, he is formerly incarcerated. And here in the United States, we have just a horrible take on people coming out of prison. We do not set up our systems to get them back into society to be successful, which is why we have recidivism at such a high rate. People come out of prison, they go back in.
Yeah.
So we're working with him. A couple young ladies who, one is very young, who's in insurance and she doesn't love her job and wants to go into marketing. Another one who has told herself she should be doing one thing when her passion is in another place. And we round out the cast with the 5th gentleman who is 2 years sober. He's a filmmaker, young filmmaker. And anyway, we follow their lives. We follow their career journey using our course. And doing the docuseries, I've never done a documentary before. I mean, I had like a little bit of experience doing a few things in the past life, but I've never done it before. And I just said, well, we're just going to do it. We'll figure it out as we go along. And it's been one of the greatest joys and adventures in my life. And had I not said the words, and exactly like you saying to your friend, here's what I'm thinking, had I not said the words, we would not be where we are today with the docuseries. So
yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that you shared that. And I think this just describes beautifully, about taking that action and get somebody to talk it through with, because then you kind of become committed with that and seeing it through. But I love your documentary series. And what we're going to do here is SJ is going, basically, you know, like she said, they've got episode 6 coming out now. And you are more than welcome, for those of you listening or watching this video, to follow the documentary series. Now I can't even say the word. And just see what it is that they've done, because these people have followed SJ's course in order to really gain what is the thing that they're so passionate about, to find the job or to find the career that is really aligned with them. And I'm so intrigued. I want to go and see this series, because, you know, things like this really, I feel, is so aligned with me. And it just really shows that when it comes to people who are really discovering something as magnificent as finding out what they're passionate about, you know, it can open up so many doors for them. So for all of you listening, what we're going to do is the link for this documentary series will be below in the show notes, so you can go and follow it, watch it through, and, you know, grab a glass of wine, a cup of tea, whatever it is, maybe a box of tissues as well, because I'm sure you're going to need it. I think you're just going to absolutely love it, because when SJ told me about this series in the beginning, I was like, that's it. We got to share this with everybody. This is just amazing. And I'm so sure that, you know, when you look at these people's stories, it's going to resonate with you in some way or another. And you're going to learn something from each of these individuals. You know, there's something that you're going to take home with you. And I just wanted to say, SJ, I think it is such a profound thing that you've done in order to take 5 people, you know, take them through your course and really giving them this opportunity to just do something amazing for themselves. So, you know,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you know, it's funny because they're human beings, so they have a part of the job as well. Like, we can provide people with all of the, this is one thing about course creators, we can provide people with all of the knowledge, but they're the other half of the equation.
Yes.
And some people will buy a book and they will put it on a shelf and never read it. And other people will take exactly what you've given them and they will use it and they will flourish.
Yes.
So that's also, you know, it's not all pretty in this docuseries, I have to tell you. We're in editing right now and we're like, oh, this is the part where it got really bad.
But that's the thing, because it's true. It's authentic.
That's right.
You know, this is it. Nothing is sugar-coated. This is life. This is how things play out.
The real deal. We do not pretty it up.
I'm so intrigued. I want to go and see this now. I want to binge watch all of the episodes.
Thank you for your support. I appreciate it.
Oh, no, definitely. I love it. So for those of you listening, if you've enjoyed watching SJ talk about her course and, you know, you want to go and watch the series, the documentary series, we'll have the link below in the show notes, so you can go and obviously follow her. All her social media links and her website will also be in the show notes. So go and stalk her, check her out, see what she's all about. And if you want to get in contact with her and learn a little bit more about what SJ does, then by all means, I'm sure she'd be more than happy to respond to you, so you can have a chat with her or email conversation, and she'd obviously help you out with that. But SJ, oh my gosh, I think you and I could talk for hours, because we've already almost had, you know, a good conversation before we hit the recording on this. I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on here, giving your time and just sharing so much of your knowledge. I'm sure everybody's taken lots of notes. And yeah, they're going to put pen to paper, but also take the action in order to create an online course.
Thank you so much, Hen. It's been my pleasure today. What an awesome day to have met you.
Oh, bless. Same here. And thank you so much for coming on again. And I'm sure you and I will be in touch fairly soon.
Yes, we will.
Take care.
Have a super day.